Bloody Lane, after the Battle of Antietam, 1862. Confederate troops hit by multiple assaults. This is what remained. Ebensee concentration camp, Austria. Malnourished prisoners at a subcamp of Mauthausen, liberated by the 80th Division of the U.S. Army. 1915. Deck of a French cruiser. Armenian refugees rescued during persecution in the Ottoman Empire. Safety found at sea. Occupied Lodz, Przemysława Street. A German camp for Polish children. World War II, 1939-1945. They called it Kinder-KZ. Buchenwald concentration camp, April 1945. Malnourished prisoners in barracks, liberated by U.S. Third Army troops. Survival by days. Stalingrad, winter of 1942-1943. German soldiers who perished in the cold. The bitter freeze took what bullets didn't. From Walter H. Horn's Triple Execution series. 3 prisoners condemned for allegedly stealing military supplies. 1 frame, 3 fates. France, January 31st, 1939. Republican soldiers resting, defying Franco with a raised salute. Resistance even in retreat. S-21 Tuol Sleng Security Prison, Cambodia, 1976 to 1979. A detention center used by the Khmer Rouge. This mother and baby were among those held inside. Hiroshima, a survivor with burns on her skin. The pattern from the kimono she wore at the moment of the flash. The bomb left its mark. Lieutenant F.G. Adams of the Hampshire Regiment. His tongue stuck to raw tissue at the injury site. Ralph Lumley of the RFC beside him. Burn injuries visible. War written on their bodies. A wall of casts of faces of wounded World War I soldiers. Molds taken to help reconstruct their features. Medicine learning how to rebuild what war destroyed. 1895. A woman with tuberculosis of the skin, also known as lupus vulgaris. Nodules appearing across the skin, a painful condition documented for study. Belfast District Lunatic Asylum, circa 1900-1901. Later became the Belfast War Hospital, from treating mines to treating wounds. Henry A. Severns, Civil War veteran and amputee. GAR George W. Perry Post, No. 31, Scituate, Massachusetts. Standing in uniform with sword, canteen, and crutches. Service at a cost. Richard D. Dumphy, former coal heaver of the U.S. Navy. Portrait in a suit. Albumin print on card mount. A life beyond the labor. Trent Bridge Hospital, Nottingham, 1918. Sawyer Spence suffering extensive mustard gas blisters. Chemical warfare left its signature. Quan Ngai Province Hospital, Vietnam, circa 1967. A young boy with 1 leg stands with a crutch. War's youngest victims. Private Philip Hattle, Company I, 31st Pennsylvania Volunteers. Admitted June 6, 1865. Passed away June 25th. Conditions as a prisoner of war took what combat couldn't. Ravensbrück concentration camp. A clandestine photograph of Bogmila Babinska Dobrowska's mutilated leg. Polish political prisoner. Evidence smuggled out. Youngstown, Ohio, 1946. A female patient restrained in a straitjacket sits alone on a bench. Mental institution. Isolation as treatment. Peter, also known as Gordon or Whipped Peter, an escaped American slave. Photographed showing extensive scarring on his back. One of the most circulated photos of the abolitionist movement. Buchenwald concentration camp. Portrait of 4 young survivors. Faces that outlasted the unthinkable. International Voluntary Services Records, 1952 to 2003. Documentation of humanitarian aid work, proof that some chose to help. A Buchenwald survivor displays his tattooed arm. According to records, tattoos were administered only at Auschwitz. His story crossed both camps. Guadalcanal, soldiers wounded in the Battle of Peleliu. PFC Marcel Sal Baldinger visible with a bandage on his head. Recovery far from home. Auburn State Prison, New York, 1908. Electric chair demonstration. A new method, same result. Florida, circa 1903. Young African-American convicts leased to harvest timber. Chain gang labor. The practice didn't end until the 1950s. Westley, Stanislaus County, California. Migratory labor camp. FSA documentation of worker living conditions. Survival on the margins. Crumpsall Workhouse, circa 1895 to 1897. 23 boys housed in institutional care. For many, the only home they ever knew.
Group photo with Theo Tuvale, Museum of Ethnology, Hamburg. Pacific Islanders collected and displayed like artifacts. The Senegalese village at the Universal Exposition in Liège, Belgium, 1905. Human beings on display as public entertainment during the era of human zoos. A phrenologist measuring a schoolgirl's skull circa 1937. Pseudoscience taught in classrooms, reading head bumps to determine intelligence. A man clamped into a metal frame before having his portrait taken. Victorian cameras required long exposures, so heads were locked in place. A photographer appears to photograph himself with an adjustable head clamp apparatus. The device kept subjects still during long exposures. Johnny Baker, Vernon Day, and Sioux leader Short Bull during the Ghost Dance era, 1890-1891. Ghost shirts were believed to offer spiritual protection. January 4, 1903, Topsy the Elephant at Coney Island, a publicity event for Luna Park's opening. Salvador Dali's Lobster Telephone, 1936, a functioning telephone with a lobster as the receiver. Surrealism at its strangest. Tirpitz the pig aboard HMS Glasgow, captured from the German Navy after the Battle of the Falkland Islands in 1914, she became the ship's mascot. Dr. De Geller on the narrow-gauge train of the Bukit Asem coal mines in South Sumatra, August 1926, colonial-era industry. The Fort Room showing an old whipping post, Deerfield, Massachusetts Museum, once used for public punishment, now displayed as history. 3 women wearing a kang in China circa 1900, a portable wooden stalk carried around the neck for public humiliation and punishment. Old Joseon Courtroom in Korea, 1910, a robed magistrate over kneeling defendants. Japan used images like this to portray Korean justice as outdated. A Boxer Rebellion prisoner in Tientsin, China, photographed by French forces during the conflict. Maud Stevens Wagner, 1907, America's first known female tattoo artist, former circus aerialist who learned tattooing from her future husband using stick and poke method. A Victorian bathing machine rolled into the sea, used to preserve modesty as women entered the water away from public view. Hired dippers assisted bathers into the waves. Bell engineer Harold Graham demonstrating the rocket belt jetpack at Fort Bragg, 1961. 21 seconds of flight time. Prosthetic eyes, ears, noses, and face parts at 3rd London General Hospital. Early plastic surgery items used to conceal facial injuries during World War I. The Dynasphere, a petrol-driven mono-wheel vehicle tested at Weston-super-Mare, England, February 1932. Inventor John Archibald Purvis' son behind the wheel.
A soldier sitting and cleaning mud off his rifle, Western Front. His beard suggests he had been in the trenches for several days. A boy holding a stuffed animal amid ruins after German aerial bombing of London, 1945. His mother, father, and brother all lost beneath the rubble. Early cotton factories in England employed very young orphaned children under severe conditions. The first Factory Act in 1802 aimed to protect them by limiting hours and banning night work. An American soldier at Military Hospital No. 5 at Auteuil, an American Red Cross nurse's aide, and a Boy Scout attending to his comfort. German prisoners walking behind barbed wire in the North African desert, June 2, 1942. French refugee children at Grande Val, near Paris, living at an American Red Cross home during the First World War. A soldier writing what may be his final letter, World War I. A girl and her grandmother waiting in a schoolyard in Saint-Poix, Normandy, France, August 10, 1944. Refugees fleeing the final battle for Normandy. Nagasaki after the bombing, 1945.
An abandoned camp, once used to detain Jewish people and those who opposed the Reich. Empty now, silent now, the walls still remember. Auschwitz, Poland, circa 1947. A post-war photograph of the chamber where thousands took their last breath, preserved now as a reminder. Hamburg, Germany, 1942 to 1945. Aerial view of ruined buildings in the Eilbeck district. Royal Air Force Bomber Command. Entire neighborhoods gone. Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia. The gate to war prison barracks. Double barbed wire fence. No way in, no way out. Belle Isle, Richmond. An unidentified malnourished prisoner of war. Photographed at U.S. General Hospital in Annapolis. His body tells the story. Austria. A starved Serbian prisoner of war. Photographed by an Italian. A record of suffering that words cannot capture. Dachau. Prisoners transported from another camp. They did not survive the journey. Their bodies lay where they fell. Sidi Rezekh, Western Desert, 1941. Battlefield remains scattered across the sand. What war leaves behind when the fighting stops. Ivalo, Finland. A burned village during the War of Lapland. An entire community reduced to ash and memory. Silent Cities, 1919. A typical British cemetery after the First World War. Rows of graves stretching into the distance. The true cost of victory. Bergen-Belsen, April 1945. A pile of shoes photographed after British liberation. Each pair belonged to a prisoner. Many never left alive. Dachau, newly liberated. Survivors searched through a pile of prisoner clothing, looking for something familiar, looking for proof someone existed. Courcelette, France, 1916. A destroyed church. Only 2 damaged walls remain among mounds of rubble. Complete obliteration. Richmond, 1909. The male orphan asylum at 1900 Amelia Street,
where children without families were housed, for many, the only home they knew. Auschwitz I, the yard between blocks 10 and 11, a replica of the wall where prisoners faced their final moments, their remains taken to the crematorium. Warsaw, a destroyed vehicle at Marshalkovskaya and Królewska streets, wartime wreckage frozen in place. Manitoba, Rookhurst School before it burned in 1941, once a meeting place for Christmas concerts and church services, all lost to flames. Kubet el Hawa, Egypt, discovery of ancient remains with a wooden coffin, Schiaparelli excavations, thousands of years underground, finally brought to light. Eastern slopes of the North Hill, ancient burials discovered during excavation, a body in a double vase, lower half holding remains, upper half as lid, sealed with mud mortar for eternity. Sidi El Shat, Egypt, UNRRA's largest Middle East camp, 20,000 people housed in the desert near the Suez Canal. Children bathed under supervision and watched Allied ships pass by. Imfut labor camp, portrait of Sami Dora working at dam construction, one face among thousands forced to build under difficult conditions. Yosemite Valley, 1943 to 1945, the Ahwahnee Hotel's Grand Lounge transformed into U.S. Navy Ward A, injured sailors and Marines recovering in one of America's most beautiful places. American prisoners of war, receiving proper care and treatment, a stark contrast to the harsh conditions faced under North Korean forces. Liberation, a freed laborer among prisoners liberated by the 3rd Armored Division. He points out a former Nazi guard. Justice delivered by those who survived. Cold places, silent places. The photographs remain because someone refused to forget. The Frame Diary. Subscribe for more.
Refugee children at Grande Val, near Paris, living at an American Red Cross home during the First World War. A soldier writing what may be his final letter, World War I. A girl and her grandmother waiting in a schoolyard in Saint-Poix, Normandy, France, August 10, 1944. Refugees fleeing the final battle for Normandy. Nagasaki, after the bombing, 1945.
An abandoned camp, once used to detain Jewish people and those who opposed the Reich. Empty now, silent now, the walls still remember. Auschwitz, Poland, circa 1947. A post-war photograph of the chamber where thousands took their last breath, preserved now as a reminder. Hamburg, Germany, 1942 to 1945. Aerial view of ruined buildings in the Eilbeck district. Royal Air Force Bomber Command. Entire neighborhoods gone. Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia. The gate to war prison barracks. Double barbed wire fence. No way in, no way out. Belle Isle, Richmond. An unidentified malnourished prisoner of war. Photographed at U.S. General Hospital in Annapolis. His body tells the story. Austria, a starved Serbian prisoner of war, photographed by an Italian, a record of suffering that words cannot capture. Dachau, prisoners transported from another camp. They did not survive the journey. Their bodies lay where they fell. Sidi Rezekh, Western Desert, 1941. Battlefield remains scattered across the sand. What war leaves behind when the fighting stops. Ivalo, Finland, a burned village during the War of Lapland, an entire community reduced to ash and memory. silent cities,